أو لذي غرم مفضع أو لذي دم موجع. This hadith is pertaining exactly al-gharimin. He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that the sadaqah or asking for sadaqah is only justified by for three reasons with regards to debt. Number one is the faqrin mutqa', one who is troubled by poverty. He is really broke. أو لذي غرم مفضع, severe poverty, the first one. And the second one is one who's the surety or is a guarantor of a debt of others, and he is in a severe financial conditions. And the third, أو لذي دم موجع. Dam means the blood money. That, you know, الدية على العاقلة. Somebody accidentally kills somebody, or the murdered person accepted the blood money instead of al-qasas. So if he does not have, we go to his family members and we start collecting the diya. Right? Somebody volunteer to guarantee the diya, for instance, in order to resolve the situation, or he has to pay and does not have. So in this condition, we can help him out from the zakah as the Prophet ﷺ, and no doubt this is considered as makarimul akhlaq, or the perfect manners that Islam came to perfect. When we see somebody who is super nice, who tried to resolve a situation by saying, I guarantee that much money, I will pay it. Even if he's rich, we're encouraged to help him out, whether through voluntary charity or the mandatory alms.
Okay, so now we've gone through 6 categories now.
Correct.
Okay, so now next category is maybe one that many people have heard of, but maybe not understood. Is the one, shall we say, fi sabilillah, as it put down, Shaykh?
Exactly. وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. The word fi sabilillah is very common and known to every Muslim from different mother tongues and backgrounds. We know fi sabilillah means for the sake of Allah. So anything that leads to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is called fi sabilillah, for the cause of Allah, in the cause of Allah, whether through ilm or amal, through knowledge or action. Action, for instance, jihad. Jumhurul ulama, the vast majority of the scholars are of the view that the word fi sabilillah here is pertaining jihad, fighting for the sake of Allah. And once again, I'm not hesitant nor reluctant to say jihad, because we explained repeatedly before on our screen that jihad means to fight for the sake of Allah in a Muslim army, to protect the Muslim state against attacks of the enemies, and to protect the deen and the religious practices of minorities. Like every country, they have their own army. Nobody objects to that. As a matter of fact, modern civilizations and contemporary big countries use prohibited weapons. Islam does not allow that under any circumstances. So Islam is the most civilized religion when it comes to war, or constitution, or by law at all, because it imposes on Muslims certain etiquettes and manners, even at the time of war and on the battlefield. So anyway, the mujahideen, those who are enrolled in the Muslim army and do not have a fixed salary from the state, they're volunteers, they are eligible and entitled to receive from the zakah fund. By them, in the past it was horses. Now whatever machines or weapons, cannons, planes, tanks, any weapons that is needed for the battle, and building any facility that is needed to make their goal achieved, such as military hospitals, paving roads, not for commercial purposes but for the military. So anything that is military for the Muslim state can be supported from this category of fi sabilillah. We can broaden this category to cover, as I said, anything that leads to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either through ilm or amal. Sending the dua to non-Muslim countries in order to preach Islam, clarify to people the truth about the deen, and unveil the reality of Islam, invite them to enter Islam, refute misconceptions, require armies of dua, require many, many dua. So we can fund them from the Zakah fund. We need books, materials, software, computers, buildings. So anything that is needed for da'wah in a non-Muslim society can be also supported from this masraf of fi sabilillahi azza wa jal. When we go to perform Hajj, that's called fi sabilillah, right?
Yeah.
But can we pay somebody from the zakat to perform Hajj? No. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. If you cannot afford it financially, you're exempt. You don't have to perform Hajj. So similarly, the zakah is not to be paid to a person in order to perform Hajj. So we do not confuse the issues. We broaden that category to cover anything that fi sabilillah, schools that will spread the religious knowledge in non-Muslim societies. Will pay the teachers who do not or cannot afford the means of livelihood in order to teach people righteousness and the Quran and the deen. From that fi sabilillahi azza jal. Support the students and pay tuitions for students who cannot afford the means, and buying them books and making their life of seeking knowledge easy for them. That is fi sabilillahi azza wa jal. So if somebody devoted himself to learn a particular branch of religious knowledge, he wants to be a scholar of fiqh, so he dedicated his life and time for that, he is eligible to take from the zakah as fi sabilillah. Somebody dedicated himself for worship, he's in i'tikaf 24/7 and he's making dua for us. That is fi sabilillah, but for himself, not for the ummah. So he's not eligible nor entitled to receive fund from the zakah fund unless if he is poor.
Then it comes into the other category.
Into al-fuqara or al-masakeen. And we did speak in details before that Islam encourages us to go to work and produce and benefit others. In one hadith, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف. A strong believer is dearer and more beloved and nearer to Allah than a weak believer. Strong in what sense? A body, he goes to the gym, a bodybuilder, physically fit? Yeah, maybe. Strong in what sense? Job, position, power? Yes, if he's utilizing all of that to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to give the poor and the weak the rights, he is dearer. And that's why the following statement says, وَالْيَدُ الْعُلْيَا خَيْرٌ مِّنَ الْيَدِ السُّفْلَى. And the upper hand is better before Allah than the lower hand. What is this metaphor? It is not a metaphor. It's a reality. الْيَدُ الْعُلْيَا خَيْرٌ مِّنَ الْيَدِ السُّفْلَى. Whenever there is a giver and a taker, normally the giver's hand is on top, so the beggar's hand is beneath. So the one who gives is better before Allah than the one who takes. الْيَدُ الْعُلْيَا خَيْرٌ مِّنَ الْيَدِ السُّفْلَى. And if you were to give, then ابدأ بمن تعول. ابدأ, begin by those who are under your guardianship and your kinship and so on. So Islam encourages us to work, but those who dedicate their life and their time and effort to benefit the ummah in jihad, they join the Muslim army voluntarily, and they do not have wages from the Muslim state, or to seek religious knowledge or a particular knowledge that would benefit the entire ummah at large, are eligible to receive wages and shares from the zakah. That's called fi sabilillah.
Okay, so here comes the question. I did say it before, but you expounded on it, but let's come from a little angle. What about for organizations who use, say, media, use radio, TV, make these booklets like you're speaking about? These come within fi sabilillah? They're giving da'wah all over the world, Sheikh? these come within it?
This is just simply confirming what I said and what the fiqh committees have concluded. Yes, spreading da'wah, this is fi sabilillah. Informing people about the deen of Allah, this is fi sabilillah, by every possible means. Recently we went some countries, and there was a book fair. This country, they have never witnessed anything like that, distributing Islamic materials and books, and where people came to know about Islam, and many people accepted Islam in this visit. So who's supporting all of that? Who's paying for the tickets? Who's paying for the accommodation? Who's printing the books? Who's renting the hall? Who's making the commercials? This is a category of fi sabilillah. So fi sabilillah, by the way, does not include building masajid. Masajid, rich and poor pray in it. Building school for regular people, because everybody benefits out of that. So I pay for a masjid, which I go and pray in it, and I pay for my zakah so that they can install AC units so I can pray with ease in it. I'm a beneficiary myself out of my zakah fund. No. This is the responsibility of Muslims and the Muslim state from the regular charities or other means, not from zakah. Last but not the least is the 8th category, which is Ibn Sabil, the wayfarer. One was traveling, he lost his belonging or his property, so he does not have money. We may give him, even if he doesn't have to go to somebody to give him a loan. Some scholars put a condition that he first should try to borrow, and if he cannot find somebody, a creditor to lend him, then he's eligible. And I may disagree, and I go with the opinion of others who say that if he is broke and he's a wayfarer and he's a Muslim, then he's eligible. We don't have to humiliate him and say you have to beg and you have to ask somebody to lend you and so on. So Ibn Sabil is a wayfarer who lost his property or he's broke and he does not have money that would enable him to reach to his final destination or go back home. He is entitled to receive fund from the zakah fund as well.
Okay, Sheikh. So let's recap quickly because we've come to the end of the show. Let's go from the beginning to the end of these recipients, Sheikh. So the first category is?
Al-Fuqara, and a subgroup of that is Al-Masakin. Then the third is Al-Amilina alayha, and the zakah custodians, the employees who are appointed by the government. Why am I saying that? Because if Jamil has some zakah and he sends some people to distribute it, he's not eligible to take from zakah as wages for his employer, that he's paying him his wages from the zakah. No. But if he is hired by the state or the government, then he may receive his wages or what's sufficient for him, his basic needs and his family, from the zakah fund. Al-Mu'allafati qulubuhum, for reconciling the hearts of Muslims or those who are thinking about Islam. And we discussed the difference of opinions between Imam Abu Hanifa and the vast majority. And we believe that the vast majority's opinion is more right, because this is a category that is stated in the Quran. It may be needed now, may not be needed some other times, but it is still there. وَفِي الرِّقَابِ, in freeing the slaves and the captives. وَالْغَارِمِينَ, and those who are burdened by debt and cannot pay, unable to pay. وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, for the sake of Allah, in the cause of Allah, mainly in jihad, the Muslims army, and anything that leads to spreading the deen or informing people about Islam, refuting misconceptions through da'wah, for instance, and ad-du'a. And the 8th category is Ibn Sabil, the wayfarer.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Muhammad, again for all these explanations and guidance. Jazakallah khair. Well, this is the end of this episode of Fiqh of Zakah. I hope you join me next time. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Give a little of yourself, cure your greed, purify your wealth. Look around at where you live, look at all the good you have to give. Give a little of yourself. There's a hand somewhere to hold, a mouth to feed. There's so much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves. Know Allah sees each and every hidden deed.